So if you're a small business owner and you see like everyone's getting grants and you're not getting them, I'm here to share with you the secrets and tips you need to know in order to be successful in securing grant funding. If you're trying to find gatekeepers or understand who these people are, you know, the nice thing about the government is all that information is public. So you can start by simply, going to the website, whatever agency you're looking at, and looking at their funding programs, and you can usually look up who's running these programs. So that's one way to do it. The other way, of course, is to retain a consultant, some kind of expert who can help you navigate this space. A good DIY approach even is to just reach out via the kind of contact forms. They are frequently more open to having a discussion than you might think because they need your input. You are the expert in your industry and your business, and the government is not. There's a lot to be said for deeply understanding the motivations behind not only the individuals within a granting organization, but also the organization's kind of meta goals. You might be responding to something or applying for grant funding to put charging infrastructure in front of your business, or you might be applying for funding to train employees. You might start to understand that, they really are interested in diversity and equity and inclusion. And so instead of writing an application that says, oh yeah, we're gonna train like 300 people, maybe you write in an application that says, hey, we're gonna go partner with this consultancy that specializes in DEI efforts within workforce development, and they're gonna bring a very specific diversity and inclusion lens to our project. And all of a sudden you go from responding to the RFP to winning. And that's that's the distinction. One of the really important kind of tools that we use as storytellers is the hero's journey. We all appreciate a good story and we all get really bored reading a bad one. And if you send in a story that's boring and awful, they're not going to want to read it. The hero's journey involves some kind of epic quest or goal that they're working towards. They typically encounter some sort of wisdom giver who helps them understand some unique things about themselves and unlock some powers. And then they rise to the occasion and they defeat some great evil, they accomplish something great, and then they arrive at the end of their journey. And so this kind of story arc is something that's really popular. Human people in general really relate to it, and it's engaging. And so using the hero's journey in terms of the narrative of what you're trying to accomplish is really important because it provides a framework for the people reading it, not only to understand what you're doing and what you've got going on, but also it provides a tool and an opportunity for you to really engage them as readers. Another thing you really want to be sure you're doing is to speak the language of the agency or the grantor that is asking for a proposal. When they put out information, they're like, hey, apply to this grant, there'll usually be a glossary or two of terms that you should use. Helping them understand and being concise and clear and then using their language back to them not only will help you tell a good story, but it'll also help you reflect that alignment of values. So if they say, in part of the grant that they want to hear about your strategy for inclusive workforce development training, use that word. Say, we are providing inclusive workforce development training. They'll cue in. They're like, oh, that's the thing we asked about. They'll read that sentence because you used that same language back to them. And so you want to, optimize at every turn, optimize for clarity in communication and for their understanding so that it's easy for them to digest and dig into. The last thing I learned is really thinking about the long run. Post-award, you want to continue to build this relationship, right? You don't want to just burn it and go. Just realize that you now have a partner who is a government agency or foundation. These people have a ton of clout, they have a ton of relationships, they have a ton of money. And you really do want this to be a partnership that is based on transparency and trust, because that's the best way to work with these people and the best way to work with anyone, really. And so you want to make sure that you're nurturing and developing that relationship. You want to move away as much as possible from the tendency to think of this as a transactional activity where you're putting in an application and they're giving you money. And even though that's how it's framed, that's not the reality. It's about relationships, it's about human beings working to achieve shared goals, it's about alignment of incentives, and that's going to make you much more successful as someone who's raising capital.